Welcome to Amaka Intellectual Factory, where I host podcasts and many other interesting stuff. Today, I'm gonna be reading from yet another one of my articles. And so, without much ado, let's dive right in. Surviving Ogazi, or the Age of Azi. What is Ogazi? Part 1 of 2. The words Ogazi is Igbo language. It is the last of the 4 world cycles identified in Igbo cosmology. This once lost ancient knowledge of Igbo people was rediscovered by the great late Professor Catherine Achalano. And if I recall correctly, John Anenechukwu Ume also mentioned the Igbo world cycles in his books, After God is Dibia, Parts 1 and 2. Professor Catherine Achalano's genius research went beyond the rediscovery of this long-lost ancient knowledge of Igbo people. She was also able to show that the Igbo Uga world cycles were unmistakably identical to the Indian Yuga world cycles. In the Indian Yuga world cycles, Kali Yuga is the same as Ogazi. Kali Yuga is considered an age of darkness, an age of vice, quarrel, chaos, anarchy, among other similar negative words. Ogazi is the last and shortest of the Igbo Uga world cycles. Uga is the Igbo word for world cycle. The word Azi, which I believe is also known as Asi among Igbo people, is a negative word, and it generally refers to a particular group of people who, for lack of a better explanation, were seeded on earth by a great enemy to wage endless and ruthless wars on Igbos, humanity, and Mother Nature at large. This ancient Igbo teaching on Azi taught that they were everywhere and walked among us like regular people. Today, we interact with them on a daily basis. They could be our neighbors, co-workers, so-called friends, acquaintances, lovers, spouse, and co-parent. However, an encounter or interaction with these people will always lead to a great misfortune because nothing good can come from it. Again, while ancient Igbo teachings cautioned against many other types of people. The people Igbos identified as Azi were by far the ones ancient Igbos cautioned against the most. Ancient Igbo names like Azikiwe, which means Azi is greater than anger, demonstrated how this ancient Igbo teaching was incorporated in the names of their people. The name Azikiwe essentially advises Igbos to not let anger get the best of them when Azi people cause pain and suffering in their lives, because there are many ways to kill a snake without spilling blood. There are many ways to kill a snake without spilling blood. In other words, there were other ways to address the attacks of Azi people. It should also be mentioned that the word Asi, also known as Asili, is an Igbo word for lie or dishonorable. This is why you might hear an Igbo person say, Okpom Asi. This means they, which could be she or he, called me or thinks I'm dishonorable, not worthy of respect and or trust. In fact, maybe even abominable. With that being said, it is obvious that Azi or Asi or Asili altogether have a negative meaning in Igbo language. Although I must add that today, among the many words Igbo people have for children are Umuaka and Umuazi. However, someone decently informed in the knowledge of Igbo cosmology knows that these words, Umuaka and Umuazi, though referring to children, are not synonymous of one another. Yet present-day Igbos use these words synonymously to refer to children. This is as a result of lost ancient Igbo cosmological knowledge. I am sure there must have been a time when Umuazi, which means Aziz children or Aziz people, was understood by Igbo people to be different from Umuaka, which means children of the ancient ones or ancient people. Now, to my utmost surprise, I discovered some years back that the word Asili has a positive meaning in Swahili language. I believe this is the Swahili word for what the Igbos call chi, which is your life force in English. But I digress a little. Back to topic. I believe the above has laid a solid foundation for me to now go into explaining Ugazi. During Ugazi, or the Azi world cycle, Azi people are the ones with the secret knowledge, maybe even authority, that empowers them to rule and dominate the world. And because these are dishonorable people with no modicum of integrity, who suffer many mental issues and insecurities, they rule the world with an unbearable, destructive wickedness. We are then cautioned to take cover and not try to challenge Azi people when they dominate the world with their wickedness, because this is their time, and their time is short. Their short time of ruthless wickedness on earth is reflected in the Igbo Oga cycle chart, as well as the Indian Yuga cycle chart. Ogazi is the shortest of all the world cycles. Anyone who has read the Bible would see biblical scripture in this ancient Igbo teaching of Oga or world cycles. For instance, the first time I learned of this, I immediately remembered Revelations chapter 12 verse 12, which says, "Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you. He is filled with fury, because he knows that his time is short." Well, I have my own theory on who these Azi or Asi people are on earth. They are mentioned not only in the Bible, but also in historical books. In fact, there are scholarly professional courses on them in universities. Assyriology, for instance. These are none other than the ancient Assyrians who either precede or descend from the ancient Babylonians, whatever the biblical scholars say. Unfortunately, like a lot of history on genealogy, there is a lot of fabrication about the Assyrians, who they really were, and what they did. My point is that, as far as I'm concerned, Azi or Asi refers to both the ancient Assyrians and ancient Babylonians. I recollect reading a book on Atlantis by Lewis Spence, a man deeply knowledgeable of the occult. And he was very specific about a people he identified as Azilians, whom he credited with the systematic destruction of the almighty legendary Atlantis. Now, if you're mind blown, then welcome to the club, because so was I the first time I read this. You can see the obvious Azi in the name Azilians. However, discussions on the Azilian systematic destruction of Atlantis, as written by Lewis Spence, is a topic for another day. Anyway, in part 2 of this 2-part article, the conversation is gonna be on how to survive Ogazi. I will be drawing from the ancient Chinese military strategist Lao Tzu and his famous book Tao Te Ching, where his core teaching can be reduced to 3 words: Wei Wu Wei, meaning doing not doing. The end of my article. So, as always, you're more than welcome to share your thoughts with me, start a conversation in the comments section, and I would be super duper excited to join you. Well, that's all I have to say for now. Until next time, take care of your lovely selves. And remember, life is beautiful and worth living.